Good evening. I'm Cynthia. I'm here with Doug, and we'll help you make money in the stock market with information you will not find anywhere else because we are Wall Street Media.
Hey, thanks for coming in, Cynthia.
You're welcome, Doug. I don't come in for you. I come in for the people.
Really?
The people.
Oh, I'm crushed. Anyhow, we have oodles of super good videos here.
I love it when you say oodles. It makes me think of ramen noodles.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, you know I have this weird little thing about me.
Oh,
when you say names,
weird little things.
No, I've had it since I was a young girl.
But
when people say names, it makes me think of words and names make me think of foods. So everybody's name makes me think of it. Your name, Doug, reminds me of onion rings.
That's how come you have
Mike
like,
makes
your
me think of
weight
bananas.
problem. You know?
Yeah. Anyway, no, when people say names, like an image pops up in my head. It's very weird. Anyway. Joseph.
No, that's normal.
It is? Joseph Podolsky, President and CEO of Rapport Therapeutics, or ticker RPRX, talks about the uterine fibroids and the market they serve in the U.S. and the world, as well as competing solutions. So let's hear from Joseph. Roll it.
The market for uterine fibroids is extremely large, and I think it's been kind of relegated to the back burner simply because the male-dominated pharmaceutical industry thinks about female health not too frequently and considers hysterectomy a totally acceptable treatment for a condition that affects probably something on the order of 26 million women in the major markets of the world. Now, how does that translate to an opportunity? Well, we know that 300,000 women a year in this country choose hysterectomy because they can't deal with the symptoms any longer, and they have no drug choice. You can say, well, there's Lupron. Well, Lupron, the problem with that is it's only useful for up to 6 months. Why? Because it castrates the woman at the pituitary level, essentially shutting down steroidogenesis in her ovaries, and she becomes menopausal, and there's bone loss, and after 6 months that bone loss is, in many cases, irreversible. So if you just took that 300,000 women that we experience in the States, $2.5 billion a year being spent on hysterectomies, and extrapolate it to the larger markets of the world, you're looking at roughly 700,000 women who are choosing hysterectomy today because there are no other solutions. If all you had was 10% of those women, and remember that these conditions, whether we're talking uterine fibroids or endometriosis, are only conditions that are of a concern to a woman during her reproductive life. Once she reaches menopause, and once her hormones stop cycling, these conditions will go away on their own. So if you could treat these women for 10 years, which we think we can, and if you only had 10%, if you do the math, once you get to steady state, that's a $1.75 billion market, and that's not even addressing the other tens of millions of women who just say, no, you're not going to take out my uterus. What does our data look like? Again, here's the 2 studies in a row. Our drug shuts down the primary symptom these women experience is excessive menstrual bleeding. Our drug stops menses, so they stop bleeding. It happens very quickly. It's faster than Lupron in its action. And the data to date has been highly statistically significant. This is a second phase 3 program. The FDA has reviewed our data to date. We have 2 INDs open, one for anemia and one for the chronic treatment of uterine fibroids, and they're both in phase 3.
Well, that was the CEO of Rapport Therapeutics. Next, we have Mark Vieira, President and COO of SXC Health Solutions. XCI discusses the acquisition of National Medical Health Card System.
German Mike does this.
He's trying to see what
know?
Tongue twisters. One day I came in and had like Peter Piper picked a peppers. And I was like, what company is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's roll it. Mark Vieira.
So let's talk about why we did this and why we made the acquisition of NMHC. First of all, as I just described, it really filled out our strategic footprint, especially on the full-service turnkey side of our business, Informed RX. It's our intention, and we have already retired the name NMHC, and that entire business now is run under the heading of Informed RX. So it obviously expanded our full-service capabilities. We acquired a fully functioning and productive mail order operation. Similarly, they had a very nice specialty operation that we now have under our umbrella, and a full suite of clinical products and services that before this point we were building brick by brick. So really the acquisition allowed us to accelerate 18 to 24 months the build-out of Informed RX, and we now have the full suite of services to compete in the full-service PBM market. It's a very strategic and complementary acquisition in that it complements our strategic license and ASP business, which continues to be very strategically important to us. And I'll point out that NMHC was a customer of ours. We knew them well. We'd serviced them for roughly 3 years with our flagship application, RX Claim. And so we knew what we were getting when we made this acquisition. Obviously, adding 300-plus clients in a very diverse set of markets, it increases the scale of our Informed PBM operations, which helps us immensely in terms of network and supply chain leverage. And I'll talk about the customer diversification that this acquisition made for us. This was a very important strategic element on why we did this deal. One of the things that NMHC had carved out a leadership position in is having business relationships with many brokers and consultants who drive on the low end employer business as well as TPA and labor union business, and these were relationships that we didn't have and that they'd been developing for years. And then finally, and I would say very importantly, we have significant revenue and cost synergies that Jeff will address in his portion of the presentation.
Mark Vieira, President and COO of Can I say this? Can you say it?
No.
SXC. Thank you. Anyway, I don't even know why I even attempted to say that again. I should have said that was that guy. Anyway, Stephen M. Anderson, and this is not Pamela's dad or ex-husband, President and CEO of CryoLife, CRY, speaks about their Synacraft technology and other products. Roll it.
Synacraft is a decellularization process. It's designed to make human and animal tissues less antigenic. It provides a structurally intact collagen matrix. We think it's a paradigm shift in technology. We have about 2,000 implants to date. The FDA cleared the first decellularized human heart valve in February, and we shipped our first one on March 18th. It's used primarily for cardiac reconstruction in kids. And because of the technology and the uniqueness of it, we have a premium price, and it should significantly increase the gross margins on our cardiac tissues. We're in discussions with the Food and Drug Administration regarding the Synacraft processing of human aortic valves, and we have a meeting with them next week on this subject. Future Synacraft processed tissues would be aortic valves. We can also do this with vascular tissues. We can do it with xenografts, such as pulmonary and aortic pig valves, or bovine or porcine vascular grafts. That will be something we'll do in international markets before we do it here in the States. And you can also use Synagraft processing for dialysis access, peripheral reconstruction, and you can use it for tissues that would be placed in infected fields.
And that was Stephen Anderson of CryoLife. What do you have to say about them, Doug?
Amazing, amazing. Look at this. It says they just did their first implantation of combination aortic mitral allograft heart valve in a patient at the Cleveland Clinic, right?
Oh, Stephen was working there.
Oh, yeah?
Cleveland Clinic.
And Greg lives out by there. Maybe they'll move into brains and they can help Greg. I like that. I'll have to send him the link to this one. Awesome stuff, right? It says, like, a lot of times right now when they're trying to do this stuff, there's a huge risk of infection.
Right.
And the way that these guys do that cuts that down, right? And they're hoping that this does infection-resistant treatment.
Good.
For that, because it's such a tragedy. You sit and you wait to be able to get these things, right?
Oh, infective.
Then you finally get one, and you get an infection, the body rejects it,
So
and you go from like sheer joy or happiness or relief, right? Oh, it doesn't really affect you. You have to have a heart, but for people like me, caring, loving people with huge hearts, right?
No,
It's very
so
important.
You should really be very serious about this issue. Endocarditis is a very serious issue. I do not find this a laughing matter. Unfortunately, my co-host, colleague, he tends to joke about serious issues. I will never joke about your heart or anyone else's heart. I hope everyone's transplants go well, and I hope that Cryo Life can help the case. Endocarditis is very serious.
It wasn't endocarditis.
Yes, it is. Infectious endocarditis. That's what they're trying to prevent against.
And here I am horsing around.
Horsing around.
I'm very poorly. Do you want to spank
Like a
me?
mule.
I spanked
Like
you
a
last
mule.
week. Do you want to spank me this week?
Horsing around like a
I don't
mule.
want to be spanked. Anyhow.
Anyway,
Those are
well, that's that. Thank you. We'll be
FBR.
back again with a couple more of our very insightful, filtered information. Thank you so much. You can also leave feedback down below. Please click on it. Tell us if you own any of these companies. Tell us what you like about the show or what you don't like about the show. We're tough. We can handle it. Also, don't forget to check out Covester. Got lots of great stuff on there, especially companies that Doug is finding very, very interesting from the FBR conference. He does. He gets a little too excited there. Sit in your seats. Don't jump out too far. Anyway,
I buy them.
He buys them. Thank you. He puts his money where his mouth is, and you can follow that on Covester. Thanks so much. We appreciate you visiting us. You can find us at WSMCO.com directly.
They can see the whole presentation.
You can follow the presentation at WSMCO.com/webcast/FBR21.
WSW.
Great. WSW.com/webcast/FBR21. Thanks. We'll see you in a minute.